These are the Kapital lumber pants, and they're so good that I had to double up and get two. So these are double knee pants, as you can probably tell by that extra panel on the front of both legs. Their origins are firmly rooted in practicality and function, but ever since they've been ripped from the hands of blue-collar workers, they've become a staple in most modern wardrobes, but especially for those who are big into workwear. And when it comes to workwear, you can't help but mention Carhartt. Arguably the king of clothing for practical wear and use, they've also got the heritage to back them up. They began making clothing for railroad workers in the late 1800s and have never stopped making clothing for those in trades like painting, farming, or construction since. Despite the prevalence of workwear-inspired styles today, there have always been workwear-inspired brands like Orslo, The Real McCoys, Visvim, and Nigel Caborn, making their own versions of or putting their own twist on popular items. But in the last maybe 8 or so years, the popularity of the workwear look has definitely skyrocketed. Almost every fashion-conscious person, whether they've ever picked up a hammer or not, owns at least one item from Carhartt. And I know those hammer loops are getting dusty. But one very workwear-inspired brand that I did not mention is Kapital. And with me, I have two pairs of their cotton canvas double knees, also known as their lumber pants. And I'm going to be talking about these today. If you're not too familiar with Kapital, I'm not going to get super into depth about them here, but they're a brand that specializes in their own version of Japanese Americana that is just nothing but fun. They take influence from a variety of different American staples and aesthetics, ranging from denim, military, ivy, and western, and push them to their limit by infusing them with a ton of loud and playful elements. I absolutely love them, and I have a ton of pieces I plan on talking about on this channel in the future. But back to the pants. I have two pairs with me, both in the ecru colorway and both in a size 2. There are a few key differences between both pairs, which I'll be getting into, but this pair on the top here is Kapital's more traditional lumber pant offering, and it's defined by a few key features. They're high rise with a slightly tapered fit, the buttons along the waistband, the cinch along the back, this little insignia on the left knee that reads Safety Flap, Union Made, Sanforized Shrunk, Kapital Incorporated, diamond stitching along both knees, and an absolute abundance of pockets. 2 on the knees, 2 on the back, 1 on the left side, 2 on the right side, 2 hammer loops, and 2 of these longer loops on both sides above the hammer loop. A little fun fact, these buttons along the waistband are for suspenders. The cinch on the back and the buttons along the waistband are a callback to a time before pants had belt loops. Your only 2 options were to cinch the back of the pant or to wear suspenders. But once people started wearing belts, pants were no longer produced with these features. And this patch that Kapital has on the left knee is what I believe to be a reference to the older Carhartt logo, as they both read Union Made and Sanforized. And this patch on an older pair of lumber pants looks even more like that old Carhartt logo. So that was the more traditional lumber pant offering from Kapital. They've been making these forever, and they come in a ton of different materials and colors, including light wash denim, black denim, sashiko stitching, hickory stripes, and this banana pear, to name a few. And here's the other version of the Kapital lumber pants that I own. This one does not have belt loops or a cinch along the back, but instead has a built-in belt. There are still buttons along the waistband, but instead of 4 along the front and 2 along the back, there are only 2 on the front and 2 on the back. These suspenders were included with the pant to attach to the buttons along the waistband. The pants also feature a baggier fit, higher rise, shorter inseam, wider thigh, and larger leg opening than the traditional pair. I'll put the exact measurements up later. I've only seen this version listed online a handful of times, and I've never seen it sold by a Kapital retailer, at least in the US. So now I'm going to get into what the pants look like on my body, and I'm just going to show you a couple outfits. So here's how the traditional lumber pants look on my body with just a t-shirt and boots. I'm 5'8", 140 pounds, and have about a 29-inch waist. I prefer to wear them with the waist sitting directly on my hips. If I were to pull them up, they would be a little shorter than I'd prefer, and I'd have to cinch them even tighter to fit my stomach, which would cause even more bunching around the waist. If I wanted them to be a little tighter, I would have gone with a size 1 to accommodate my smaller stomach, but since I'm letting them sit at my waist, they fit pretty well. And here are the lumber pants with the built-in belt and suspenders. They fit a lot baggier than that other pair like I mentioned earlier, with that longer rise and overall baggier fit. The bunching from the belt is now more evenly distributed across the waistband instead of just on the back due to this built-in belt. I really like how the suspenders look hanging off the pant as well, and even if it is stolen valor, it really does add a lot to an outfit. Also, if you're wondering, to nobody's surprise, the t-shirt that I am wearing is the Kapital Amuse tee. Now, here's an outfit with the standard lumber pants. I'm wearing a gray t-shirt, a Kapital bone cardigan, and Rick Owens creeper boots. Most lumber pants are very versatile and look good with pretty much everything, but of course, Kapital just looks so much better with even more Kapital. I'm not the biggest fan of stark white colors, so I really like the ecru, and I feel like it plays even better with the blue and off-white colors of the cardigan. And here's an outfit with the belted lumber pants. I could have gone with more Kapital, but for a nice change of pace, I went with this Visvim Shorty Chore jacket. This is my favorite denim jacket ever, and it kind of always just pulls together that Americana look. Now, I'm a big fan of both pairs. I really like the look of the suspenders hanging down and the convenience of that built-in belt, but if I had to choose a favorite, I'd go with the traditional pair. I think the lumber pants just look a little bit better when they're not super baggy, and the version with the built-in belt is just a tiny bit too baggy. But either way, you can't go wrong with either pair because they just both look great. And like I said, these pants pretty much look good with everything, but bonus points for more Kapital. So I'm just going to show you a couple more outfits with some casual Kapital pieces. I really love these pants. They've been a staple in my wardrobe ever since I got them. These pants are tapered, and as a noted tapered pants hater, I don't really mind the fit that much. I think it's because they're a bit of a wider pant. You don't really notice the taper all that much, but when you do, I think it kind of just enhances the fit. I don't know, kind of coming around to the taper just a little bit. And the cinch on the back, I don't really mind that much either. Usually when pants that are too big are belted up, it creates a pretty unflattering looking cavern, but it doesn't look too bad on these, at least compared to other pants. And the pockets on the front, I think, are also just a cool add. Sometimes I find myself just sticking things in there too. The only negative thing that I can say about both pants is the belt loops are a bit flimsy, like I could pull them off if I gave them a little tug, but both pairs have mechanisms to cinch them up, so you wouldn't need to wear a belt anyway. Otherwise, the pants are very well constructed and reinforced. They do have a bit of a thinner canvas despite being lumber pants, but I think them both being in white kind of creates this done up image, and the thinner canvas just reinforces that image. Another thing is that I wish both pairs came with suspenders so you could have the cool look if you got either pair. If you are looking to try out double knees, I know Carhartt has them starting at about $60. I have this pair here from Carhartt Work in Progress in the tamarind color. These are a bit more expensive, starting at about $150, but I can say that the canvas on these is far thicker than the Kapital lumber pants. If you are getting these, I would just watch out for the sizing. I bought these in a size 30 and the waist actually measures out to almost a 32. If you're looking to get a pair of Kapital lumber pants, here are the measurements for the pairs that I own. These pants are pretty expensive, beginning at about $370 in the US, give or take, depending on the version. I bought both of mine secondhand, and if you're also going to go that route, I would just be very careful because there are a lot of fakes out there. Be sure to carefully inspect the tags and the appearance of the pants before buying. So here's how you can tell the difference between a real and a fake pair of lumber pants. On the left, I have an obvious fake that I found on Depop, and on the right, I have a real pair. And I can tell that the pair on the left is fake because the diamond stitching should be symmetrical across both knees. The emblem is too light of a blue. That square underneath the fly button is too low. The buttons are silver on the reverse side when they should actually be a copper color, and there's a missing rivet on the knee. Another giveaway is this emblem. The edges of that crest should practically be touching the stitching. Now here's an example of a fake and a real wash tag. The tag on the left is fake and the tag on the right is real. The tag on the left has a strange font. The material of the tag is off and the tag is a bit too wide. Most modern Kapital pieces use the font seen on the wash tag on the right, although the material of the tag may differ than the one shown here. And a lot of fake Kapital pieces have tags that look like the tag here on the left. Another giveaway for the wash tag is if it's stitched on backwards. You can tell because the English text on the wash tag should always be facing the black size tag, and if the Japanese text is facing the black size tag, then it's probably fake. Lastly, here's a quick look at this version of the label tag. I know there's a version that says country, but I'm just going to be talking about the one that says Kapital in this video. If you see anything that looks super crooked or says Kapital Man, you should definitely stay away because those are 100% fake. The stitching and the text should be running pretty straight, but there could be some overlapping between the text and the stitching, which I've seen before. There should be also this layer of red underneath the text like on the tag shown here, and the stitching on the text should always be running horizontally. There's a lot more that I can get into on legit checking Kapital, but I'll save that for a dedicated video. If you have any questions, just leave me a comment or DM me on Instagram and I can help you out. Thank you for watching. If you found this video helpful or you just enjoyed watching it, be sure to leave a like and subscribe and follow me on Instagram. And if you have any questions, just throw them in the comments and I will get back to you. Thank you.